Okay, 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 okay. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Studying the Bible with Mike and Pat. These other YouTubers are just so trash. Hit the thumbs up if you want to support. Go follow Mike as he follows the Lord. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 You better watch out, Mike's calling out the shields. If you're not free grace, you need to sit down and chill. We're not hyper grace, you know we keep it real. Eternally secure, you know that we're sealed. We don't back low, we're not workspace heretics. Mike's not in it for the money, trying to get a lick. They out here selling their souls for a couple clicks. Becoming Freemasons so they can't just get rich. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Shout out to Mike and Pat. Check out his channel, Toronto Bible Study. Subscribe and like.
The same day went Jesus out of the house, and sat by the seaside. And great multitudes were gathered together unto him, so that he went into a ship, and sat, and the whole multitude stood on the shore. And he spake many things unto them in parables, saying, Behold, a sower went forth to sow. And when he sowed, some seeds fell by the wayside, and the fowls came and devoured them up. Some fell upon stony places, where they had not much earth, and forthwith they sprung up, because they had no deepness of earth. And when the sun was up, they were scorched, and because they had no root, they withered away. And some fell among thorns, and the thorns sprung up and choked them. But other fell into good ground, and brought forth fruit, some 100-fold, some 60-fold, some 30-fold. Who hath ears to hear, let him hear. And the disciples came and said unto him, Why speakest thou unto them in parables? He answered and said unto them, Because it is given unto you to know the mysteries of the kingdom of heaven, but to them it is not given. For whosoever hath, to him shall be given, and he shall have more abundance. But whosoever hath not, from him shall be taken away even that he hath. Therefore speak I to them in parables, because they, seeing, see not, and hearing, they hear not, neither do they understand. And in them is fulfilled the prophecy of Esaias, which saith, By hearing ye shall hear, and shall not understand, and seeing ye shall see, and shall not perceive. For this people's heart is waxed gross, and their ears are dull of hearing, and their eyes they have closed, lest at any time they should see with their eyes, and hear with their ears, and should understand with their heart, and should be converted, and I should heal them. But blessed are your eyes, for they see, and your ears, for they hear. For verily I say unto you, that many prophets and righteous men have desired to see those things which ye see, and have not seen them, and to hear those things which ye hear, and have not heard them. Hear ye therefore the parable of the sower. When anyone heareth the word of the kingdom, and understandeth it not, then cometh the wicked one, and catcheth away that which was sown in his heart. This is he which received seed by the wayside. But he that received the seed into stony places, the same is he that heareth the word, and anon with joy receiveth it. Yet hath he not root in himself, but dureth for a while. For when tribulation or persecution ariseth because of the word, by and by he is offended. He also that received seed among the thorns is he that heareth the word, and the care of this world and the deceitfulness of riches choke the word, and he becometh unfruitful. But he that received seed into the good ground is he that heareth the word and understandeth it, which also beareth fruit, and bringeth forth some 100-fold, some 60, some 30. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst not thou sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servants said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay, lest while ye gather up the tares, ye root up also the wheat with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. And in the time of harvest I will say to the reapers, Gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. Another parable put he forth unto them, saying, The kingdom of heaven is like to a grain of mustard seed, which a man took and sowed in his field, which indeed is the least of all seeds. But when it is grown, it is the greatest among herbs, and becometh a tree, so that the birds of the air come and lodge in the branches thereof. Another parable spake he unto them, The kingdom of heaven is like unto leaven, which a woman took and hid in 3 measures of meal, till the whole was leavened. All these things spake Jesus unto the multitude in parables, and without a parable spake he not unto them, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by the prophet, saying, I will open my mouth in parables, I will utter things which have been kept secret from the foundation of the world. Then Jesus sent the multitude away, and went into the house, and his disciples came unto him, saying, Declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. He answered and said unto them, He that soweth the good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are the children of the wicked one. The enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. The Son of Man shall send forth his angels, and they shall gather out of his kingdom all things that offend, and them which do iniquity, and shall cast them into a furnace of fire. There shall be wailing and gnashing of Chapter 12. Whoso loveth instruction loveth knowledge, but he that hateth reproof is brutish. A good man obtaineth favor of the Lord, but a man of wicked devices will he condemn. A man shall not be established by wickedness, but the root of the righteous shall not be moved. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. The thoughts of the righteous are right, but the counsels of the wicked are deceit. The words of the wicked are to lie in wait for blood, but the mouth of the upright shall deliver them. The wicked are overthrown and are not, but the house of the righteous shall stand. A man shall be commended according to his wisdom, but he that is of a perverse heart shall be despised. He that is despised and hath a servant is better than he that honoureth himself and lacketh bread. A righteous man regardeth the life of his beast, but the tender mercies of the wicked are cruel. He that tilleth his land shall be satisfied with bread, but he that followeth vain persons is void of understanding. The wicked desireth the net of evil men, but the root of the righteous yieldeth fruit. The wicked is snared by the transgression of his lips, but the just shall come out of trouble. A man shall be satisfied with good by the fruit of his mouth, and the recompense of a man's hands shall be rendered unto him. The way of a fool is right in his own eyes, but he that hearkeneth unto counsel is wise. A fool's wrath is presently known, but a prudent man covereth shame. He that speaketh truth showeth forth righteousness, but a false witness deceit. There is that speaketh like the piercings of a sword, but the tongue of the wise is health. The lip of truth shall be established forever, but a lying tongue is but for a moment. Deceit is in the heart of them that imagine evil, but to the counselors of peace is joy. There shall no evil happen to the just, but the wicked shall be filled with mischief. Lying lips are abomination to the Lord, but they that deal truly are his delight. A prudent man concealeth knowledge, but the heart of fools proclaimeth foolishness. The hand of the diligent shall bear rule, but the slothful shall be unto tribute. Heaviness in the heart of man maketh it stoop, but a good word maketh it glad. The righteous is more excellent than his neighbor, but the way of the wicked seduceth them. The slothful man roasteth not that which he took in hunting, but the substance of a diligent man is precious. In the way of righteousness is life, and in the pathway thereof there is no death.
I always forget. Hello. Welcome to Toronto Bible Study. I'm your host, Mike Sampat. And today we're going to look at some Proverbs from Proverbs 31. Hello, Savo. God bless you, sir. Yeah, God bless, brother. So today we're going to look at some stuff from Proverbs 31. Let me just close some of these things on my thing. Anyway, Proverbs 31. But let me say a prayer real quick and then we'll get started, okay? Heavenly Father, Almighty God, Father, you're clothed in majesty. You're clothed in strength. You're a mighty God, Father, a mighty King. Father, I just ask you, give us wisdom now and give us guidance and help us to understand these proverbs we're about to read. And help us to just grow in the grace and knowledge of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, Father. And bless the listeners, give them wisdom, give them strength, give them guidance, give them peace. I ask all this in the name of your Holy Son, Jesus Christ. On him be glory forever and ever. Amen. All right, so hey, AV, what's up, man? So you survived the fires? Everything all right, buddy? It's wild out there, man. Hey, Kenneth. God bless, brother. Thanks for joining, man. Yeah, today we're gonna go through Proverbs 31. I don't know if we're gonna make it through the whole. I was hoping to make it through the whole chapter. I don't know if that's doable, but we'll try. We'll do our best. But okay, so let's get started here. Barely made it by the hair of your chinny chin chin, bro. That's wild, man. At least you're alive, bro. Praise the Lord, you know. But yeah, it's wild out there, man. I can't believe it. But it's over now, right? Like pretty much, or this some still going, maybe. Unless I heard it was all done. But I mean, thank God you survived, bro. So anyway, okay, so Proverbs 31, it's Psalm 8. Proverbs 31. All right, so what's happening here? Yeah. There's little fires here and there, right? Yeah. But pretty much most of it's gone, right? Thank God. That's wild, man. I don't know who started those fires, man. I feel like it's mostly like some kind of conspiracy, you know? Like the way Newsom was like smiling and like all giddy over the people that were coming to buy the land or whatever. That was wild, dude. That was so wild. So we talked about how the Book of Proverbs begins with the 9 chapters, which is just like longer poems, that are sort of introducing you to the idea of proverbs and wisdom and all those things. And then from 10 to 15, those are all they're almost all these antithetical parallel proverbs. Those are actually proverbs, like the short sayings that we normally think of as proverbs. And then from 16 to 22:17, that was the ones that we normally call synonymous parallelism, or most of them are. So that is the first half of the saying says the same thing as the second half, but they're kind of saying it with different words. That's a synonymous parallelism, okay? And then from 22:17 until 24:23, that was what we call let me just show you. All right, so anyway, the first 9 chapters were the longer poems. Then in chapter 10 we had the Proverbs of Solomon. And that's when we get these actual proverbs, like just one line saying something, right? And then this goes on, and these are the sort of antithetical parallelism. So wise son maketh the glad father, but a foolish son is the heaviness of his mother. So they're saying kind of the opposite thing, but the point they're making is basically the same point. Then from 16, wow, it takes forever. Now, then from 16, you had more of these. Some of them are different forms, but most of them are this form, what they call synonymous parallelism. So by mercy and truth iniquity is purged, and by the fear of the Lord men depart from evil. So this is sort of, they're saying the same thing but with different words. Okay, that's what most of these are. But some of them are just like regular sayings, like when a man's ways please the Lord, he maketh even his enemies to be at peace with him. It's not synonymous parallelism. It's not parallelism at all. It's just a regular saying, right? So a lot of these are like that as well. Then 22:17, that's when we see this saying. Bow down thine ear and hear the words of the wise. The words of the wise, okay? So this collection from this section on is considered to be part of the words of the wise. And then 24:23, we have this saying, these things also belong to the wise. So this is also seen as another little section. But this one only goes until 25. And then in 25, we see this heading. These are also Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah, king of Judah, copied out. So this section of sayings is like this. The Proverbs of Solomon, which the men of Hezekiah copied out. And this collection goes until chapter 29. And then at the beginning of 30, we saw this saying, or heading. The words of Agur, the son of Jakeh, even the prophecy. The man spake unto Ithiel, even unto Ithiel and Ukal. So these words here, then, this is like this different kind of thing. It's not these short sayings that we normally call proverbs anymore. Now we're back into these longer poems. And so this chapter is like a long poem. And then chapter 31 seems to be one long poem, although that's disputed as well. So we'll talk about this. But this one begins with this saying, the words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. Which is interesting because here Agur, son of Jakeh, we never see this name again in the whole Bible. And we don't know who he is. We don't know anything about him. And his name sounds like he's not even a Hebrew. So it's very strange, right? And then it says, even the prophecy. The prophecy. So that poem is a bit unusual. And this one is also called a prophecy. And this person, King Lemuel, again, we never hear about him anywhere else in the Bible. And also his name sounds like it might be a foreigner name. It might be a Hebrew name too, but it might be a foreigner name. So it's a little bit odd. And this one also, by the way, it says, look, the words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. So these words may be more related to what his mother taught him, or coming from his mother. And that's why you often see this type of thing. What the son of my womb. And then this little short section here from here to verse 10. And then verse 10 begins this poem, the very famous poem about the virtuous woman, which is the end of the Book of Proverbs. So this seems to also be from Lemuel, but that's also disputed as well. But yeah, it's a bit strange the way they begin this one. And then this one seems to be linked with chapter 30, though. Although a lot of people will say that chapter 30 is a little section and chapter 31 is a little section, and they just seem to be separate poems. They also seem to want to be read together because there's a lot of similarities between them. They both begin with the sayings or the words of someone sounds like a foreigner. Agur, son of Jakeh, sounds like a foreigner. King Lemuel sounds like a foreigner. There was never any king in Israel named that. So who is this person? And also they're both called an oracle or a prophecy, I should say, Masa. So that's another strange thing about it. And both of them are followed by very, very, very artfully arranged poetry. The poetry here is quite sophisticated. Okay, so it's an interesting thing to think about. 31:4. Yeah, we'll get to that. All right, what's up? What's up, Kozak? By the way, but what's up? What's up with 31:4? We'll get there. So the Book of Proverbs begins with this saying, the Proverbs of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel. And then this one begins with these sayings. A king is receiving instruction from his mother about maybe choosing a life partner. The poem about the virtuous woman may be about how he should choose a wife, you know? And then there's also things here about, at least in this part, about kind of not going around with strange women, and also being careful with what we drink and not getting into too much drink. Okay. So what's the and that so we have this thing about not drinking too much, and also not going around with the wrong women, and also treating the poor well, or opening his mouth for the poor. And then we have this poem about the virtuous woman. So it's interesting. Anyway, both of these women are teachers, by the way. His mother is a teacher. She's teaching him all this stuff. She taught him, right? And then also this virtuous woman, she's also a teacher. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. So both of them are teachers. Both of them are wise women. It may be that this conversation in the palace, or the king's house, this is about the king's house and his way of life, and then this is about sort of normal way of life, or like the average citizen. You know, maybe that's what the thing is. I meant to say 31:3 sounds like don't simp for women, give them power. Right. Don't simp. Don't be a simp. Yeah. You might say it something like that. Don't be a simp. Yeah. That's interesting. Well, I don't think it's that simple, but it's probably part of it. It's probably an aspect to it, you know? That's funny though. Okay. So anyway, all right, let's think about this now. So the first section is just talking about how the king should speak out for the poor people in this first section, right? And then the first two are about how the mother speaking to her son, right? Then 3 to 5 are about how rulers should not drink and get drunk and forget things. And then 6 to 9 is about how they should give drink to the poor so they don't forget, which is an interesting idea, which we'll talk about. And then the last section is the poem about the virtuous woman. Okay, so and then in this poem from 10 to 18 is about how she's like a woman of noble character, and it talks about her husband a bit. And then from 19 to 20, you have this idea of how she stretches out her hand to the poor. And then from 21 to 29, you have this unit here. It's like talking about how great what a great mother she is, what a great like household manager she is. And ending off with this talk about her noble character. And then the last two verses praise her and the work of her hands, okay? But we'll talk about these as we get there. Okay, 7:30, almost. Now this last poem by the mother about the virtuous woman is also an acrostic. So each of the letters and each of the lines begins with a different letter of the Hebrew alphabet, and they go through every letter of the alphabet. Hey, Angelo, hello. How are you doing, brother? Thanks for joining, man. Glad to see you. But okay, so let me talk about the first part, and I'll read it up, and then we'll talk about it. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. What, my son, and what the son of my womb, and what the son of my vows? Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law, and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. Open thy mouth for the dumb in the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. Open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. Amen. Yeah, not doing too bad, brother. Thanks, man. Thanks for your support. Hi, Liliana. God bless you. Thanks for joining. All right, so what's this all about? His mother is Lemuel. The words of King Lemuel, the prophecy that his mother taught him. So it seems to be saying like the mother's reminding the king that he is meant to serve the poor and to help them. Or maybe serve all the people, especially the poor, you might say. Okay. But that he's not simply given his kingship just to do whatever he wants. He needs to help the poor and open his mouth for their cause. Now, the fact that it says the words of King Lemuel, the prophecy, that reminds us of chapter 30, verse 1, where it says the prophecy of Agar, son of Jakeh. The words of Agar, the son of Jakeh, even the prophecy, Masa. So why are these two prophecies? Not quite clear. We're not able to identify who Lemuel is or who Agar is. We don't know because they don't appear anywhere else in the Bible. And these sayings are not really his necessarily, but more like his mother taught him this, and then now he's saying it. So that's also relevant. So it's interesting that women serve as the teachers in this book, you know, where people often think that women in ancient Israel were just treated like idiots, but according to this book, you know, they're women that needed to be listened to, women of wisdom. You know, we do see other women of wisdom in the Bible, but look here, my son, hear the instruction of thy father, and forsake not the law of thy mother. So the father and the mother are instructing the son, not just the father, right? And look at this. For I was my father's son, tender and only beloved in the sight of my mother. My mother, right? So the mother's also part of the teaching here, yeah? Proverbs 6:20. My son, keep thy father's commandments, and forsake not the law of thy mother. So we can see that women in ancient Israel were not considered to be fools or anything. They were to be listened to. They were considered to be intelligent commentators. But you know, let me show you this one. There's this woman in 2 Samuel chapter 20. The wise woman of Abel Beth Makkah. Okay, a wise woman out of the city, a wise woman. And she seems to be somebody very important in this city. All right, because right now what's happening in this story is that one of the enemies of David has come and hidden himself in the city. So David's general Joab went out there and laid siege to this city. And so laid siege meaning he surrounded it with an army and he's going to destroy the city, right? So they sent this woman up to talk with them. They didn't send a man. They didn't send the mayor or a leader or anything among the men. They sent this woman. Who is she? We don't know, but she's definitely some kind of leadership person in this place. She gets a lot of respect there. She goes out, calls out to Joab, and then he comes up, and then they negotiate, and then she gets the men of the city to take that man's head, the one that was running from David, and throw it over the wall to Joab, and then Joab leaves with the army, and she saves their city. So there are these wise women in Israel, and Israel was not the kind of place where women couldn't be leaders. It was just a matter of, for the most part, men should do the leading. But you see, there's women like the judge Deborah, and Deborah, a prophetess, the wife of Lapidoth, she judged Israel at that time. The judges were the ones who were like ruling Israel before there was a king, you know? So this woman, Deborah, was the judge. And she actually commanded the army and commanded one of the generals to go and fight, right? So they did have women there that were considered to be wise and considered to be people who could offer instruction. There's another one in look at this. Now Joab the son of Zeruiah perceived that the king's heart was toward Absalom. And Joab sent to Tekoa and fetched thence a wise woman, and said unto her, I pray thee, feign thyself to be a mourner, and put on now mourning apparel. So he sends her in to talk to David about Absalom. But the fact is, She's the wise woman of Tekoa, they call her. Okay. So there's this like role in Hebrew society of a wise woman, a woman that she can teach wisdom. Okay. So that was not considered to be women are just idiots that no one should listen to. That's not the way it was back then. Now, notice how she says, what my son, and what the son of my womb, and what the son of my vows. So the word son is repeated 3 times here. Bar, bar, bar. You know, sometimes you'll read in the Bible about people named Bar something. Bar Jesus. One guy's named Bar Jesus. And it means that he's the son of Jesus. Or the son, not our Jesus, but the son of somebody named Jesus, you know? Jesus was a fairly common name back then. So that's why. But this one, when it says son of my vows, sometimes you might think of this as the answer to my prayers, you know? As if like she made her vows to God and she kept them. And so, as she maybe it's like the suggestion is that she made her vows to God to have like, I'll do this, God, if you give me a son, type of thing, you know. And then God granted her the son. So it's kind of like saying that he's the son of my prayers, or the answer to my prayers, you know. It's similar to like what Hannah did. This is Hannah, Samuel's mother. Okay, she vowed a vow and said, "O Lord of hosts, if thou wilt indeed look on the affliction of thine handmaid and remember me, and not forget thine handmaid, but will give unto thine handmaid a man child, then I will give unto the Lord all the days of his life, and there shall no razor come upon his head." I will give him unto the Lord. So she made this promise to God, right? Then God gave her a son, and that was Samuel. You see down here at verse 28. Therefore also I have lent him to the Lord. As long as he liveth, he shall be lent to the Lord, and he worshipped the Lord there. So she promised her son, and then she lent him to the Lord. That is, she gave him to the temple, and the temple raised him once he reached a certain age, you know? So that's the first 2 verses here. What my son, what's the son of my womb? Now it says this section here. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. It is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the judgment of any of the afflicted. So in this one, you have give not thy strength nor thy ways. So these things end off with this sorry. Like this one begins with give not, and this one it is not for kings. So it's with the Hebrew word al, which means not. And then it's don't do this, lest they drink and forget the law, right? So that's similar to something we saw here as well in chapter 30. Accuse not a servant unto his master, lest he curse thee and thou be found guilty. See, there's a few of these here. So there's a lot of parallels between 30 and 31. That's why they probably are meant to be read together rather than separately. But they have these longer poems at the end of the book, just like at the beginning of the book, it was longer poems. And only then do we get into the shorter sayings that we normally call proverbs, right? And the same thing is happening here. It's like this longer poems to finish off the book. Sorry. Give not thy strength unto women, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings. So kings are not to spend their strength on women. That is, the strength is the hayil. And you know what? This word for strength here, hayil, is also the word that they use here for virtuous woman. The word for virtuous is like hayil. It could mean strong, or it can mean like, or it can mean strength, or it can mean like ability, or having the power to do something, or it might mean like property sometimes. So, but here it's translated virtuous, which is a good translation. Don't get me wrong, but it's interesting that they use this word here. Sorry, strength, and then here again, because it's probably because once again, there's a link here. They're trying to link these two sections that they're kind of one. It's one poem, you know, and the same strength that the king has is the strength that the virtuous woman has, or that's her virtue, you know. Let me see. I think there's some other places I could show you this. Proverbs 5:9. Lest thou give thine honor unto others, and thy years unto the cruel. Thine honor unto others, lest thou and thy years unto the cruel. Lest thy strangers be filled with thy wealth. This doesn't have that word though. Honor. Anyway, that doesn't repeat. Lest thy strangers be filled with thy wealth, and thy labors be in the house of the stranger. I guess that doesn't have it. Let me see if I find it anywhere else. I'm trying to find somewhere where they use this word hayil in a different way. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. Oh, you see this? Proverbs 12:4, a virtuous woman is a crown to her husband. So it's that same word, hayil, which is usually strength, but it can sometimes be virtuous or something like this. Let's just see where else I can see it here. Oh, it's 13:22. Oh, sorry, I hit the wrong one before. Sorry, that's why I was. If you go to 13:22, a good man leaveth an inheritance to his children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. The wealth here is hayil. It's the same word, right? So this strength, or wealth, or even virtue, you know, give not that unto women, nor thy ways unto that which destroyeth kings. Now, which women is it talking about here, right? It's probably talking about the strange woman that we saw earlier, a little bit, or at least part of it is that. So we saw her in 2:16, to deliver thee from the strange woman, even from the stranger which flattereth with her words, which forsaketh the guide of her youth, and forgetteth the covenant of her God. For her house inclineth unto death, and her paths unto the dead. None that go unto her return again, neither take they hold of the paths of life. And then we do see quite a bit about the strange woman in this chapter. Another example of her would be 2 Samuel 12:9. Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord, to do evil in his sight? Thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon. Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. So this is when David took Bathsheba, And now this is Nathan telling him this, which is the message from God of his punishment, right? So that may be the kind of woman or women that is being referred to here, right? The other possibility is the idea of kings to have harems, because that's frowned upon too, right? Wherefore the Lord said unto Solomon, for as much as this is done of thee, and thou hast not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded thee, I will surely rend the kingdom from thee and will give it to thy servant. Why? Because he was going after strange women, right? Let me read you all that part. And Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Then did Solomon build a high place for Chemosh, the abomination of Moab, and the hill that is before Jerusalem, and for Molech, the abomination of the children of Ammon. Likewise did he for all his strange wives, which burnt incense and sacrificed unto their gods. And the Lord was angry with Solomon, because his heart was turned from the Lord God of Israel, which had appeared unto him twice. So that's why keeping a harem can actually lead to these major problems, right? Esther 2:10. Okay, let me read this. Esther had not showed her people nor her kindred, for Mordecai had charged her that she should not show it. Esther was in the palace of the king of Persia, and she had married him, and she had become his queen, but she never told him that she was a Jew. And so, but she was there with a bunch of other women, right? It was like, at this point in the story, she hasn't actually become the queen yet, because he's got a harem and he's deciding which one he's going to make the queen. When every maid's turn was to go in to King Ahasuerus, after that she had been 12 months, according to the manner of the women. For so were the days of their purifications accomplished, to wit, 6 months with oil of myrrh, and 6 months with sweet odors, and with other things for the purifying of the women. Then thus came every maiden unto the king. Whatsoever she desired was given her to go with her out of the house of the women unto the king's house. In the evening she went, and on the morrow she returned into the second house of the women, to the custody of Shashgaz, the king's chamberlain, which kept the concubines. She came in unto the king no more, except the king delighted in her, and that she were called by name. So the women would go, and they would meet with the king, and then they would only return for one day if he allowed it. But anyway, the point is, though, there's a law against the kings taking too many wives. Let me show you. This is Deuteronomy 17. He's talking about the rules for the king. Thou shalt not in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. Or thou shalt in any wise set him king over thee, whom the Lord thy God shall choose. One from among thy brethren shalt thou set king over thee. Thou mayest not set a stranger over thee, which is not thy brother. But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Egypt, to the end that he should multiply horses. For as much as the Lord hath said unto you, you shall henceforth return no more that way. Neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. This is the important part for our purposes, right? The king should not multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. And that's exactly what Solomon did, right? So that may be what she's warning about here too. Let me see. A wife should be compatible with her husband in many levels: spiritually, physically, culturally, loving, helper, housewife, mother to their children, not lazy, an advisor, and most of all the best friend. If you complement each other for the sake of a blessed, healthy livelihood. Yeah, that's true. What you say is true. And that goes extra for a king, you know? But I think what the words that she's saying to King Lemuel, yes, she's saying it to the king. But I think we can also apply these to our lives. Every man is the king of his house, right? And so we should behave in this way in our house. Think of your house as a kind of microcosm of the kingdom, you know? And so you need to rule your house like a king would rule his castle or whatever. Furthermore, according to any dictionary, being an idiot is a person full of ideas. Is that right? That's interesting. Idiots. So they're not supposed to give their strength unto women or their ways to that which destroyeth kings. So the ways, right? So the Hebrew word for ways is derek, which we have seen in other places here. It may bring us back to this thing in 30:20. Such is the way of an adulterous woman. She eateth and wipeth her mouth and saith, I have done no wickedness. The way, the derek, right? And then so when we see that here, nor thy ways to that which destroyeth kings, right? So it's kind of hearkening back to that thing we saw in the last chapter. And this is probably not just like this is not just giving strength like sexual things, but it's also probably everything that makes a good king, you know? Don't give those away to a woman, or whether it's to a woman or to that which destroyeth kings. For example, a good man leaveth an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. So this is the way a good king should act, right? And so if you're the type of person that gives things away, or thy ways, or give thy ways to that which destroyeth kings, that's this person, you know? The wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just. So that's not good. And this idea of being concerned about harems and women, and also drinking too much is pretty common in the ancient Near East, okay? But it is not for kings, O Lemuel, it is not for kings to drink wine, nor for princes to strong drink, lest they drink and forget the law and pervert the judgments of any of the afflicted. So kings should always be protecting the poor and defenseless, right? Caring for them. That's what a good king should do anyway, right? And not trying to get massive wealth and build up their palace and all that stuff. That's not what they're supposed to be doing. For every battle of the warrior is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire. What am I doing? Am I checking the wrong setting here? Oh wait, let me see. 11:2. And the Spirit of the Lord shall rest upon him, the Spirit of wisdom and understanding, the Spirit of counsel and might, Spirit of knowledge and of the fear of the Lord. This is what a king should be about, right? Not about trying to amass wealth and stuff, okay? And so they would be refusing bribes. They'll be rejecting any kind of bad dealings, you know? And they also make sure that those type of things are not done by anybody else. No bad dealings, no bribes. So that way you can protect the poor from these kind of oppressive people, you know? And so if they drink too much, they're gonna forget. They're not gonna keep judgment over the things, and the people will get away with it. So then we have this section from 6 to 9. Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Let him drink and forget his poverty, and remember his misery no more. Open thy mouth for the dumb and the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. Open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. So here, it's interesting. 6 is almost like reversing the picture of the previous things. Yeah? Instead of this says, don't give thy strength unto the women, right? This is saying, give strong drink unto him that is ready. You know, so it's almost reversing it. Give not thy strength, give strong drink. Yeah. It's the same word. Give is natan. It's the same word here. Give. So it's kind of saying the same words in a different way, you know? So here it's saying, okay, give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. Which is a bit strange to our ears, right? Because it's saying that he should give drink to people to comfort them, the people that are suffering. Give it to them to comfort them. To those who are perishing, which perishing, let me see that. They're comforts. This word perish is avad. Why did I bring this one up? Give strong drink unto him that is ready to perish, and wine unto those that be of heavy hearts. So I guess this is also, they're using this person, this is Lamech, and he's talking about Noah, how Noah is a comfort to them. Similar to how the king is supposed to comfort the people. In Proverbs 31. If we go to Psalm 104:15, and wine that maketh glad the heart of man, and oil to make his face to shine, and bread which strengtheneth man's heart. So wine maketh glad the heart of man. So the Bible is not necessarily against people drinking to have some gladness. You can also see here, Ecclesiastes 9:7. Go thy way, eat thy bread with joy, and drink thy wine with a merry heart. For God now accepteth thy works. So drinking wine with a merry heart, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that you don't want to overdo it and become a drunkard, right? But these words here, drink and forget, are repeated here. Drink, forget. So here it's like, don't drink, don't let the kings drink, because lest they drink and forget the law, pervert the judgments. But you can't give drink, but you can't give drink to the poor, so they can forget their poverty and not remember their misery. Now, this is something tricky because a lot of people would think, well, why would we want to give people drink, especially people that are poor and suffering? Like they always often those communities, they often suffer from alcoholism and things like that, right? So why would we want to give them a drink? Now, first of all, understand that in the ancient world, it's very rare for somebody to be completely a teetotaler, completely abstaining from alcohol. That's very rare back then. Okay, so sometimes you would see like the Nazarite vows, people like that, they would not drink, right? But for the most part, most people would have a drink here and there. Okay, but they did also recognize that alcoholism was a thing, or addiction to alcohol. You know. But the main thing here is not so much about the drinking, but about this, the idea of caring for the poor and giving them justice and making sure that they're comforted. That's the more important thing. Not so much the drinking part, but the comforting them, right? So these least powerful people in the kingdom, the king is supposed to protect them and guide them. So the wine is probably both like a real comfort to people, like when they need to forget their poverty, forget their misery, so they can have that. But it's also a symbol of the king's responsible, like treatment of the people. You know, it's a symbol of his fair judgment and his rulership as a king. Proverbs 28:16. The prince that wanteth understanding is also a great oppressor, but he that hateth covetousness shall prolong his days. So this type of king is the type of king that she's talking about. Or we can see here 29:14. The king that faithfully judges the poor, his throne shall be established forever. So that's the main idea here. Not so much about the drinking, but that the king will guard the poor and protect them. That's why the next two lines, open thy mouth for the dumb and the cause of all such as are appointed to destruction. Open thy mouth, judge righteously, and plead the cause of the poor and needy. So this is the main important thing. This is more like, it's more of a reaction to this. So the king should not drink. He's saying, okay, let the poor people drink. They need it, you know, but the king shouldn't drink. That's more the idea here. Not so much as if that's what you should do for poor people. Just tell them to drink. The main message here is that the king is supposed to take care of the poor. That's why these two things come up at the end of it. Okay. So interestingly, these both begin with this word patak pay, like open your mouth, or speak up, you might say, right? These both begin with this: open thy mouth, open thy mouth. And then, you know, there was a lot of speech in this Proverbs, in this book of Proverbs. They're constantly telling us about how to speak wisely and trying to tell us to use our words with wisdom, right? So that's kind of what we see here as well. And then most of all, the thing is, wise speech should advocate for the poor. That's part of what it is to be speaking with wisdom. You know, if you're not advocating the poor, you're not speaking with wisdom. And kings are supposed to make this part of their job description, basically, part of their life as a king. You know. The king by judgment establisheth the land, but he that receiveth gifts overthroweth it. And then we saw the one at 14, right? The king that faithfully judgeth the poor, his throne shall be established forever. Yeah. Righteous lips are the delight of kings. They love him that speaketh right. So you see, this is the main element here. It's talking about a just king, not so much about these other things like drinking and stuff. The drinking part's not really, that's more part of the poetic storytelling here, you know? Now when it says for the mute, open thy mouth for the dumb or the mute. That's interesting, right? It's probably talking about those not people that are literally dumb, that literally can't speak, but people that they can't speak for themselves. For some reason, they're powerless, they're vulnerable, they're marginalized. So the king needs to speak for them because they can't speak for themselves. Like obviously, even today, we see the same thing, right? Rich and powerful people, when they speak, people listen and do what they say, right? But the poor people, nobody cares what they say. Now, in verse 9 here, speak up is it's repeated from here, but it's also defined as judge righteously and plead the cause of the poor and needy. That's what it is to speak up. Yeah. This word here, righteously, judge is like justice. That word, shafat, or mishpat is sometimes pronounced, right? And then righteously is tzedek. We've seen that. So it's not about like the king should not deprive the poor of their rights, basically, right? This is what we see here. It's like you don't want to pervert the judgment of the afflicted. You want them to have all their rights, all their things correctly done. So rather than just giving them drink to forget their misery, right? Which is part of it. Like it's just like she's just saying that as more of a reaction to the king shouldn't drink. Let the poor people drink. But meanwhile, you should open your mouth for the poor. Okay. If you're speaking rightly, then you're gonna remove the source of the poor person's misery, and then they won't need to drink. But now we have this poem now. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband does safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ships, she bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and portion to her maidens. She considereth the field, and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. She layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. She is not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing, and she shall rejoice in the time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful, and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Amen. So that's a very beautiful and famous poem. But like I was saying to you, it's an acrostic, okay? So that means that it begins in verse 10, right? So look at verse 10. The first letter is Aleph. That's like our A. So the Aleph is the first one. Then the second one is Bates. That's like our B. Bates. The third word is, or the letter of the beginning of it is, it's called Gimel. Okay, but it sounds like our letter G. That's the third letter. Fourth letter, Dalit. Sounds like D. Fifth letter, Hey. Sounds like H. So these things are, so that's what they call an acrostic, where each letter of each, each verse of the poem begins with a different letter of the Bible. And they go down in, or the letter of the Hebrew alphabet. And they go down in order. Okay? Which takes a lot of skill to write a poem like this. This is quite an artful poem. It's quite good. And also, by the way, a lot of the key terms are arranged in this chiastic structure. We talked about chiastic structure where it's like the first line and the last line are linked. And the second line and the second last line are linked. And the third last, right? Like that's the kind of order of it. And then in the middle is usually some kind of important or thematic thing there in the middle of the line, okay? Sorry. Now, this type of artistry of the acrostic poem here is probably due to the fact that it's reflecting the created order of God. You know, the created order which follows God's wisdom. It has this perfect order. Everything is very artfully laid out in God's plan, you know? And that's what this poem is reflecting. And we saw there was stuff about the home at or the kingdom at the beginning, or the community, the nation. And then this last part is about the home. And that's also what we see in other places where Lady Wisdom talks to us, like in chapter 3 and chapter 8. Talk about the home and the world at large. Interestingly, these two chapters, 30 and 31, they don't follow each other in these two parts of chapter 31, they don't follow each other in the Greek Old Testament. Like this whole section here is separate in the Greek Old Testament. But here they're together. It seems like it's probably a good way to put it. And it is the same way in the Hebrew. So they're probably meant to be together. Probably what was going on is that because the Greek Bible seems to be set up to show that Solomon wrote the whole book, which the Hebrew doesn't seem to indicate that. It seems to indicate that he probably wrote most of it, but not all of it, you know? But here, as I was saying to you before, the mother here in this first part, give not thy strength unto women. Strength is Hayil. And then here again, who can find a virtuous woman? Hayil. So they use this word to show that there's a link there. Now, over the centuries, this poem has been read by different ways. Like the Jews would often read this poem. Like the husband would read this poem, Proverbs 31:10 to the end of the chapter. He would read it to his wife every Sabbath day. That's how the Jews used to deal with this poem. And then Christians usually they'll have the pastor will often do something about this on Mother's Day. Yeah. And so the poem is certainly designed to persuade young men to seek a good wife. But this woman is also like another kind of personification of wisdom, similar to Lady Wisdom that we read about earlier, chapter 8, chapter 9 at the beginning. So this is like the last kind of iteration of Lady Wisdom, if you might think. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I know, it's true. All these poems, man. It's so crazy. But I am sleepy again. You're right. I'm gonna try to get some coffee later. I got some coffee here, but it's not doing the trick. What am I doing here? So anyway, that's the sort of introduction to the poem. The first 8 verses are about this woman's character. Okay. We just talk about how she deals. Did I read this yet? Did I read this to you? Can't remember. Anyway, I'll read this part. Who can find a virtuous woman? For her price is far above rubies. The heart of her husband does safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax, and worketh willingly with her hands. She is like the merchant's ships, she bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household, and a portion to her maidens. She considereth a field, and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands she planteth a vineyard. Wait. So let me read a couple more here. She girdeth her loins with strength, and strengtheneth her arms. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. So there it's telling us about her character, how noble she is, how amazing she is, right? She is she's a virtuous woman, right? Isha Hayil. And this type of woman, the virtuous woman, we saw her before, remember, in Proverbs 12:4. A virtuous woman is a crown to her husband, but she that maketh ashamed is as rottenness in his bones. So it's the same words, Hayil Isha, virtuous woman. And then this can also be kind of a woman of noble character. So, for example, down here, many daughters have done virtuously. Hayil. The daughters have done virtuously. All right. And also, if you look at Ruth chapter 3, verse 11. And now, my daughter, fear not, for I will do to thee all that thou requirest. For all the city of my people doth know that thou art a virtuous woman. Hayil, Isha. Woman is Isha, and then Hayil is like, often it is strong or strength. Sometimes it's like noble or virtuous. So she does more roles than just wife, this woman, you know, as we see here, right? She has many roles in the home. Or we might say that all of these roles are the roles of a wife in the home, but she's not just being a wife to her husband. She's doing all kinds of things in her house. She's managing the house basically. He goes and does his thing to earn money to bring money into the home. She stays home and manages the house. She manages the servants. She even makes like business deals, you know. She considereth a field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands, she planteth a vineyard. See, so she's not just sitting around and just being a housewife. She's doing all kinds of stuff. She's doing all kinds of things she has to do to provide for her family. But a woman like this is difficult to find, right? Proverbs 20, verse 6. Most men will proclaim every one his own goodness, but a faithful man who can find? But just like a faithful man is hard to find, a virtuous woman is hard to find. It's very rare. And this may also refer to how even wisdom itself is rare and difficult to find at times, It can be elusive, Then shall they call upon me, but I will not answer. They shall seek me early, but they shall not find me. So wisdom was calling to them, and they didn't listen. Then when they go and look for her, then they can't find her now. It's too late. So when she calls you, listen and pay attention. Proverbs 8:35. For whoso findeth me findeth life, and shall obtain favor of the Lord. Findeth me, findeth wisdom, right? But you gotta find her. Now, this poem is kind of a summary of all that's been said about wisdom in the whole book of Proverbs. Okay, for example, first we see that the woman's virtue is like a price far above rubies. This is similar to the woman in chapter 3, the woman wisdom, lady wisdom. She's more precious than rubies, and all the things thou canst desire are not to be compared unto her. And then also in Proverbs 8:11, which is again lady wisdom. For wisdom is better than rubies, and all the things that may be desired are not to be compared to it. So this poem is summarizing a lot of things we've already seen about wisdom, okay? The heart of her husband doth safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. So the husband already recognizes how valuable she is, and he trusts in her. He safely trusts in her. Wait. And then he shall have no need of spoil. So remember at the beginning, we saw that there was that gang, and he was talking to the young man. Hang on. My son, if sinners entice thee, consent thou not. If they say, come with us, let us lay wait for blood. Let us lurk privily for the innocent without cause. See, so those type of people, that's the spoil, right? That's when it says so that he shall have no need of spoil. That's what it is. He won't need to do those things that man is doing, or that man is contemplating in this section, Proverbs chapter 1, because his wife taking such good care of him. So it's also interesting that other people, they try to take it by force, right? These guys, they want to steal, like lurk privily and rob people, rob innocent people, and instead they're actually going to get caught in their own trap. They lay wait for their own blood. They lurk privily for their own lives. So they're stupid, right? But this man, because he seeks the things that are important in life, basically wisdom, he gets all these things without having to steal or anything like that. Yeah, I would say, in this type of model of the family, the man is the provider, the woman is the wise manager. I agree with this, yeah. But anyway, she will do good. She will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. Do him good can be translated literally as like brings him good. You know? Sometimes the word is translated as repaid. Gamal. It's like a payment or even like what do they call it? The not the inheritance, but the anyway, it's a word it's used in different ways, but it's often used about repaying a debt, you know? So she will repay his debt, you know. That obviously it's not being used that way here, but it's interesting that they use that word. You know, they could have said she will give him something or something like that, but they didn't, right? Proverbs 3:30. Strive not with a man without cause, if you have done thee no harm. Wait. I'm trying to find this word. Oh, sorry, you guys. I don't know why my notes are all messed up. I keep doing that. Hang on, I'm gonna find this word. 31:12. She will do him good. Oh, that's why. Strive not with a man without cause, if he have done thee no harm. Done here is gamal. But the word is often used in this very different way. Like, for example, let me try to find you one. You see, it can be used as a reward. 1 Samuel 24:17. 17, sorry. And he said to David, thou art more righteous than I, for thou hast rewarded me good, whereas I rewarded the evil. Gamal. Redeem. Oh yeah, I thought it was like Redeemer, right? But it's not. It's not quite. But it's related to it, I think. If you see the word for Ruth, the Redeemer, the kinsman. Oh, this is Goel. Oh, this is different, right? This is a different word. Sorry. The Redeemer is the Goel, but the Gamal is to repay the debt or to reward or something like that. Okay. So that's what it says. So she will reward him all the days of his life, you might say, or do him good, right? That's the idea. Thanks, Martin. Well, you know what? Martin's my dad's name, eh? Sadly, even the so-called Christian men seek for an older, good-looking woman who already worked hardly to have their house, car, business. Sad. Yeah. Christian men these days aren't being very Christian. But that's the same we can say for a lot of women too, I must say, unfortunately. But anyway, so in this woman, the promises are fulfilled, right? All the promises of a good wife are fulfilled in this woman. She's kind of like, forsake her not, and she shall preserve thee. Love her, and she shall keep thee. She's like wisdom. She's like wisdom, Lady Wisdom, you know? Even if you see down here 8 to 9. Exalt her, she shall promote thee. She shall bring thee to honor when thou dost embrace her. She shall give to thine head an ornament of grace, a crown of glory shall she deliver to thee. Because this woman, this virtuous woman in chapter 31, she's kind of like, she's very, very similar to the personification of wisdom that we've read about. Whenever we read about Lady Wisdom earlier in the book, she has a lot in common with this lady. So this lady is, although she is a real woman, and I mean, not a real woman, but like a woman that you could find in Israel. Like that's who they're depicting her as, how would a woman of Israel who was very wise, how would she behave, right? So they are telling you that, but at the same time, she's very much like those other personifications of wisdom that we read about. Yeah. She seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. Kaf. This word is usually like the palm of your hand, the flat part of your hand. Yeah. And she trades, right? She's like the merchant ship. She bringeth her food from afar. She riseth also while it is yet night. And giveth meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. So she's constantly working, she's working day and night. This lady's working. So she's a very hard worker. That much we can say. And then she considereth the field. Wait, actually, let's look at these a little bit more. So she's like the merchant ships. She bringeth her food from afar. That is, she'll go whatever lengths she has to go to get what she has to get for her family. Okay, she'll go far if she has to. She gets the things she needs for her family. And she considereth the field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands, she planteth a vineyard. So consider the field and buyeth it. This is like this woman's probably a little bit wealthy. Okay, not that you have to be wealthy to be the virtuous woman, but they're giving us the example of this virtuous woman is if she had money, this is how she would be. If you don't have money, you can still kind of follow her example. And if you do follow her example, most likely you'll start to get money, right? And so then you can further follow her example. She's a smart buyer. She'll go and consider a field and buy it, and then plant a vineyard there. That means she knows how to evaluate real estate. She knows about the values of things and what to buy and what not to buy. She knows how to get a bargain. She knows how to make a deal. She knows how to decide, okay, is this good land to plant a vineyard on, or is it not? She knows how to do that. Now, I'm not saying you have to know how to do that to be a virtuous woman, but in her social environment, in her day, she was a smart and clever and industrious, and also, what's the word I'm looking for? Like frugal. She's a frugal woman, She knows how to she knows the value of money, and she knows how to spend her money and invest her money wisely. Okay, and this is also something that women should know. Also, men should know this. So a lot of the things that she's an example of, by the way, just so any men who are listening, if you think that this is not for you, a lot of what she does and the way she is also for us. Okay. She's just wise. She's just a person with wisdom. And so we can all learn from her. You don't have to be a woman to learn from her. What did you miss? You didn't miss too much. We're just talking about well, this is a nice poem for the ladies, Crafty Val. So we're just talking about this Proverbs 31 lady. She girded her loins with strength, and she strengthened her arms. So this is, we can think about what exactly this means, but I think part of it is about being healthy and having fit and doing fitness and stuff. Now they weren't probably concerned with fitness so much the way we are, but they did have exercise. They knew what exercise was, and they knew what working. If you go out and work, that you get strong. They know that. So this woman she's working hard all the time. She does all kinds of work, so she's strong, and that strength, that health, that vitality is part of what she needs to get her job done, right? That she does. She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. Her candle goeth not out by night. So here it's like she sees, right? Ta'am. She sees or she perceives. So when she perceives that her merchandise is good, what that means is because they'll like a wealthy person in that place in Israel back then, they would have probably like animals. Maybe the most likely thing would be animals, right? They have like a ranch or some land, and they're raising animals. That's their main thing, right? And so she probably have some slaves and stuff working, and so she's managing that household too, right? So part of what they're doing is probably taking the wool off the animals and making clothing or yarn or something and other things like that. They'll make maybe candles out of the fat of the animals. They'll do things like that. So the men would go out, they'll raise the animals, they'll go slaughter the animals, they'll bring the meat. The ladies then would take the rest of the animal and process it into different products, and they'll go and sell them. And so that's what she knows, and she knows that her merchandise is good. She doesn't make when they make so some farms they might make some yarn that's not very nice, but she's not that kind of farm. She makes the nice yarn or the nice like whatever they make. And when it says her candle goes not out by night, it's because she's working all the time. She's up night and day. This lady's working. So that's what we need to be like too. She's not like the sluggard. Remember we saw the sluggard before? How he's always like getting in trouble. Well, she's not like that. And she's not wise in her own eyes. The sluggard's wise in their own eyes. Okay? So let me give you an example here. As a jewel of gold and a swine's snout, so is a fair woman, which is without discretion. This word discretion here is ta'am. Okay, ta'am. This is the same word that she says, she perceiveth, she ta'am, that her merchandise is good. So this woman, see this person, she does not have discretion. She does not have ta'am, right? But this woman, the virtuous woman, she has ta'am. And she uses her ta'am to see that her merchandise is good. So that kind of thing, right? Another example of this is Proverbs 26:16. The sluggard is wiser in his own conceit than 7 men that can render a reason. So he's wise in his own conceit. Not like that, not like the woman, our lady, right? She's not wise in her own conceit. She perceives correctly that her merchandise is good. She's not wise in her own conceit, like the sluggard. So this woman is like her merchandise is good, and she's going out and she goes out and considers the field and buyeth it. Right? This is why when it says that, that this woman, like, Lady Wisdom, it says that she's the merchandise of it, wisdom, is better than the merchandise of silver, and the gain thereof than fine gold. And so this woman, her merchandise is good, right? So it's like she's better than silver and gold because she's making merchandise, she's doing stuff, she's making profits, she's making deals, buying fields, selling them, making vineyards, planting vineyards, right? She's like, it's profitable to have a woman like this with you. Not like just, it's better than having gold because gold doesn't continue to make money, but this woman's out working, making more money, So she's working and trading night and day, right? And it's weird, like, so she's like as wise as some of the other characters we see in this book. We see the sluggard, we see the angry man, we see the foolish man, right? We see those type of characters, and as bad as they are, that's how good she is. Those people, they're doing their stupid things, their sluggard things, or their foolish things. And then they get into trouble or they die. They get destroyed. This woman, no, she's so wise that everyone praises her and her whole house is provided for. and everybody loves her. And she's a model of the life that, remember when we saw this, we saw this before. Agur was saying, he was saying, I am more brutish than any man. I have not the understanding of a man. I neither learned wisdom nor have the knowledge of the holy. So Agur was he's asking for wisdom, right? And so this woman, she's kind of modeling the wisdom that Agur didn't have, or that he was searching for, It's interesting. And just like the merchant ships on the sea, she'll go far. She'll go far to get the food, right? Get the bread. This word food is lehem, which is bread normally, right? And even we saw that here too. Oh no, sorry, this is another thing. Oh, the way of the ship in the sea. The way of the ship in the midst of the sea, right? So this woman is like, so in the last chapter we saw this, that these things are like the way of the ship in the midst of the sea is one of these things that are too wonderful for Agur. But this woman, she is like a merchant ships. Yeah. So she's like one of these things that's too wonderful for Agur. And this word for food here, oh yeah, it's bread, right? But sometimes it means like, or apparently sometimes it means like pray. Let me see if I could find that. I didn't even know this actually. Psalm 11:5. The Lord trieth the righteous, but the wicked and him that loveth violence, his soul hateth. What am I looking for here? Why is this thing here? The word for food usually means. Anyway, let me find this word. Proverbs 31:14. Her food. Anyway, I only see this word meaning bread, so I'm not really sure. Maybe it's this, the teref. Maybe it's this one. Sorry, you guys. I'm just trying to find this thing. She bringeth her food from afar. Wow, I can't see this word anywhere. Anyway, sorry about that, guys. I'm trying to find this word. The word for food here, or something, or the word for meat here. Apparently, it means prey somewhere else, but I'm not finding it. Malachi 3:10. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat. Teref. Oh, this is the word teref. This is the same word as the word meat here. Bring ye all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be meat in mine house, and prove me now that herewith, saith the Lord of hosts. If I will not open you the windows of heaven and pour you out a blessing, then there shall not be room enough to receive it. It's very strange, though, that this thing doesn't find it. Yeah. Oh, that's what they're saying. Okay. I got it now. All right. Genesis 49:9. Judah is a lion's whelp from the prey. This word is the word teref. All right. This is the same word we see here for meat. She riseth also while it is yet night, and giveth meat to her household and a portion to her maidens. So the word is generally thought of as pray. It's almost like she's getting up in the way that a man will go and hunt the food, right? She gets up in the night while it's still night. She's getting up early in the morning while it's still dark to get the food ready for her house, right? For her household and her portion to her maiden. So that's the type of lady she is. She's so, thinking of her family and her people and her house. And she provides for her maidens, as well as, which is also similar to like what we saw here in, the full soul loatheth in honeycomb, but to the hungry soul, every bitter thing is sweet. The full soul loatheth in honeycomb, to the hungry soul, every bitter thing is sweet. So she provides like that for her household, I guess. Sorry. I don't know, guys. I'm kind of getting confused here a little bit with my notes. Oh, it's the way that Agar's asked to provide, right? Agar, the king in the last chapter. He was asking God to provide him like this for food, right? Are all women called to be like the lady in the proverb as well? Yeah, you're called to be like her, but not necessarily that you have to be exactly like her, but she's showing you these really good qualities of a woman. And even like I was saying to you, a lot of the qualities there men can adopt as well. So she's giving you a model of like a wise way to be, and your personal life may be very different than hers. So you may not have the same type of things. Like you may not have someone that you have to get up early and provide food for them first thing in the morning before they even get up. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. If you do, then yeah, you should do like what she does. If you don't, you don't have to. But then it may be wise of you to think of it like, okay, she gets up early and gets her job done. So maybe I should do that, right? You might have other work to do. Maybe you don't have to provide food for anyone, but you have other things. So that's how you can kind of use her as an example. Even if your life is very different than hers, you take the principles of the things that she does and then you apply them to your life. So when you see that, okay, she considereth the field and buyeth it. With the fruit of her hands, she planted the vineyard. The fruit of her hands, that means the thing, the work that the money she's earned by her work, okay, or other things that she's earned through her hard work. So she buys the field. First, she considers it. I should say, considers it, takes a look at everything, makes sure it's good, and she buys it. Then she uses her own fruit of her hands, her own things. She takes and plants a vineyard there. And so now it's going to be this wonderful thing with grapes, and they can make wine and all this stuff. It's an amazing thing, right? Now, you might not be that type of situation. Maybe you're poor. You don't have enough money to buy a field. Or maybe you're too young. You don't deal with that kind of thing. But you can just think about what she's doing here. She's using her mind to think carefully about what she's going to do. Then she does it. When she does it, and she acts quickly and with industry, with her hard work, and gets things done so that it produces something that produces more things, She takes a field, buys it, and plants a vineyard. Maybe you don't have time to do that, or you don't have the money. But maybe you can plant a garden in your backyard and grow some tomatoes or something. It's that kind of thing. It's like you're doing stuff that's useful, productive, and helps your people and your family and your household. And she's always working and doing stuff like that, She plans to get the field not so she can Not so she can get money and do some wickedness with it, but just so she can give food to her family and feed them, and everybody's going to be taken care of. This considerate here is zaman. It's kind of like planning. It's the same word we see down here. Oh, sorry. Wait, we saw it up here. 30:32. If thou hast thought evil, zaman, the plan. But she's not planning evil, right? Obviously, she's planning for good. So this lady's pretty awesome. So the fruit of her hands, as I was saying, that's like her hard work, the thing she earned from her hard work. Similar to what we see here in the last verse. The fruit of her hands. It's the peri of the yad, yeah. Peri yad. But the fruit of her hands is like the thing she got from her hard work. And then when it says she girded her loins with strength, strengtheneth her arms, it's like it means that she sets about her work to do her work. She does it. She's not like she does it hard. She works hard. She's not like kind of slacking off, you know. She gets the job done. She's that type of woman, you know. It's the same one that she has her strength here, the oats. You strengthen her arms, amats, right? Which is the same word that we saw earlier. Remember when we saw these ants? The ants are people not strong. The same word as strong, right? Here, this woman, she strengtheneth her arms. She girdeth her loins with strength. It's that same word, odds. But the ants, they have little strength, but they still store up and provide food, right? Remember we saw that? The ants, where is it? The ants are people not strong, yet they prepare their meat in the summer. So they prepare, even though they're not strong, they prepare their meat to get the job done. And this woman, she actually strengtheneth her arms, and she girdeth her loins with strength. So she's also going to get the job done with strength, you know? Now, if we look at these ones from 19 to 20, she layeth her hands to the spindle, and her hands hold the distaff. She stretcheth out her hand to the poor, yea, she reacheth forth her hands to the needy. So in this part, oh, this is interesting because it's like the middle of this chiastic pattern. I'll try to show you that if I can, but she holds the distaff. She layeth her hands to the spindle and the distaff. These are things that they are part of when you're like, let me show you what this thing is. It's when you're like, you're trying to like, what do they call it? What do they call that thing, man? When they, when they like spin the wool, they spin it, or the loom. You know the loom? That's what it is. So spindle distaff. Okay, a spindle and distaff are tools used to spin yarn or thread by hand. The distaff holds the fibers, while the spindle spins the yarn. So you can see it here, I guess. I hope. I'm trying to make it bigger. It's not doing it for some reason. I don't know why. So that's the distaff there, all right? And then this is the spindle. They hang the spindle and it spins off. So all the yarn is up on the distaff. And they spin the spindle, and that pulls in the string and it makes the yarn. wonder if I could get a video of this. Hang on. Sorry, you guys. This thing is so weird. Videos. Anyway, let's see what this lady's doing.
And the distaff is a third hand for me. What's interesting in some pictures from medieval illuminations is it's very clear that several shafts were used with a single whirl. The distaff makes you portable, and it's hand.
This is like a medieval thing, so it's a little bit different than they used in ancient Israel, but it's kind of basically the same idea.
Handy if you're in hostile conditions like windy weather, if you need to walk long distances. And I'm getting one of the shafts, which I've already spun on, ready. And I'm going to spin from the distaff. Basically, I'm going to start with the leader and get the new wool mounted on it. And then stored away, back and forth. The distaff holds a lot of spinning, perhaps a whole day's worth, and you can use it throughout the day and put it away instead of having your wool wrapped on your wrist, getting tangled in your clothing. It's a much
this is pretty interesting stuff, right?
Kind of operation. If you have to chase a toddler,
this lady has a Spider-Man thing on her hat. It's hilarious. But this lady's cool. But anyway, so that's what a distaff and a spindle is, right? So that's this so you can know what that is. You can look into that some more if you like, of course. Okay, so where were we now? She stretches forth her hands to the poor. This is important. Yeah, medieval Spider-Man. I know, hilarious. He's like spinning. She just spin a little spider suit for him, you know. So that's the spin on the distaff, and then she stretches out her hands to the poor. She reaches forth her hands to the knees. So on one hand, her hands are working all the time to provide for her family and stuff, and then on the other hand, she's giving her hands are giving to the poor people, you know, which is similar to what Paul said when he says about hang on, let me find that now. Or is this thing? Oh, it's because I have this thing. Sorry, hang on, guys. My bad. So dumb. Not doing my searching properly here. Ah, finally. Oh, wait, that's not even it. Hang on. Oh, finally. Okay, got it. So Paul says this, Ephesians 4:28. I'm so sorry, you guys are taking forever. Let him that soul steal no more. Rather let him labor, working with his hands the thing which is good, that he may have to give to him that needeth. So somebody who is stealing and now they've become a Christian, they should of course stop stealing. They should also labor, work with your hands, the thing which is good, so that you may have to give to the people that are poor, the people that need help, right? Which is exactly what this lady's doing. She works with her hands, and then she gets money, right? Because her merchandise is good. And she's going out and dealing with these guys all the time. She's going out like the merchant ship. She's bringing her food from afar. She's constantly out there dealing, making money, trying to get stuff for her house. So she lays her hands to the spindle. She's working her hands, the thing which is good. And then when she gets money, then she stretches out her hands to the poor. So she's doing like a lot of the things that this lady does, right? We'll see this again and again in the advice from the New Testament authors, and also in other parts of Proverbs, and also in other parts of the Old Testament. When you see this type of wisdom teaching, you'll often see things that you'll see in her poem as well. Hey, Typical. God bless, brother. Thanks for joining, man. So remember the other thing about this, remember there was the generation that swallowed up the poor and needy? So we saw this in the last one. Where is it? Oh, yeah. There's a generation whose teeth are as swords and their jaw teeth as knives, to devour the poor from off the earth and the needy from among men. So these people, they devour the poor, right? Whereas our lady, she gives to the poor. She's kind to them. She stretches out her hand to them and gives. So it's the opposite. She's the opposite of many of those things in the last poem. So that's also to show you that the things in the last poem from chapter 30, many of them find their match or find their opposite in chapter 31. Okay, so you have to look for those kind of parallels to understand that these two poems are probably supposed to be read together. Chapter 30 and chapter 31, they're probably meant to be read as the kind of concluding section of the book together. Okay. But she extends her hands to the poor. Oh, by the way, you see this thing? See how she layeth her hands to the spindle? The layeth here is shalak. And then she stretcheth out her hands to the poor. She reacheth forth her hands. This is also shalak. So shalak and shalak, right? So that's what they call wordplay, which is very common in the Old Testament. Actually, it's very common throughout the Bible, but the Old Testament, very, very common. That type of wordplay, especially in this type of Hebrew poetry, they'll often use that type of wordplay. So the same hands that she used, she layeth her hands to the spindle, shalak, and she shalak her hands to the poor. Yeah. So they do that a lot in the Hebrew poetry. And this type of thing about rewarding the poor is found in Proverbs 19:17. He that hath pity on the poor lendeth unto the Lord, and that which he hath given will he pay him again. I love that one. I really do. Proverbs 22:9. He that hath a bountiful eye shall be blessed, for he giveth of his bread to the poor. So once again, a lot of the things that we see in this poem's almost summing up the whole book. You know, it's like all the wisdom of this book is kind of packed into this poem. You know what I mean? Not all of it, obviously, but many of the major principles that we learn in this book are found in this poem as well. Okay. And then so we saw that this woman is like the reverse of the generation that swallows up the poor. Fools make a mock of sin, but among the righteous there is favor. That's like this woman. She has favor, right? She gets favor. Let me see if there's wait a minute. He that oppresseth the poor reproacheth his maker, but he that honoreth him hath mercy on the poor. So if you're mean or bad to the poor, God is kind of identifying himself with the poor often in this book. I mean the Bible, not just Proverbs. Although it's definitely in Proverbs as well. So God identifies himself with the poor often. So if you oppress them, it's like you're reproaching him. If you honor him, if you have mercy on the poor, it's like you're honoring God. Okay? And that's what this woman does. But this thing about the hands is interesting because that's what we see down here as well. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own work praise her in the gates. So we'll see that hands idea again. And then also this thing about the clothing, how it's like, or it's like they're making the clothes, they're making the spindle and stuff. Then there's going to be a lot of stuff about clothes in this next section as well. So we'll see that. And ultimately, she's also clothed with strength and dignity here. Strength and honor are her clothing. And she shall rejoice in time to come. But okay, let's look at this. So the last section is from, well, not the last section. This is the second last section, from 21 to 29. I'll read it. She's not afraid of the snow for her household, for all her household are clothed with scarlet. She maketh herself coverings of tapestry, her clothing is silk and purple. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchants. Strength and honor are her clothing. She shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. She looketh well to the ways of her household, and eateth not the bread of idleness. Her children arise up and call her blessed, her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Amen. So the words husband and household appear twice here. Husband. So we got household. We got husband. And husband. Okay, so those things are appearing. So in this section here, it's like the husband and the household, they are receiving things from the woman. They're the ones that are receiving her blessing. And then here at the bottom of this section, the people of her household are giving back to her. They're praising her, right? They bless her. So it's like showing you the progression of how this thing works. She's such a blessing to her household because she's just this type of woman. She works hard and she's just generous and kind. And so then they turn around and bless her and praise her. Because why wouldn't they? If you see this thing, this section from here, this is what I was talking to you about, like these so-called chiastic pattern, right? So if you see here, the chiastic pattern is like this. The first line and the last line are linked. Then the second line and the second last line. And then the third line and the third last line, depending on what type of structure you're using, right? But here, it's just the two and then the middle one. But the middle one is always something kind of central to the theme of the section. So here we have this thing about her clothing. All her household is clothed with scarlet. Then at the bottom, strength and honor are her clothing. So you see, these are linked in that way. Then the second one, she maketh herself coverings of tapestry, her clothing is silk and purple. Then the second last one, she maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchants. So you see that they're linked. Maketh, she maketh, and it's about the clothing and stuff, right? Then the middle one is this kind of central idea, and it's her husband. Her husband is known in the gates when he sitteth among the elders of the land. So you can see that she is her amazing kind of, I don't know, abilities as a wife, right, have led to her husband also being honored and being because when you're known in the gates and you sit among the elders, because at the gates, that's where the elders would go, and they'll kind of sit around and like listen to people. When the people come up and they have some kind of matter that needs to be decided on, that's where they would go and talk to the elders. So when he goes and sits there, that means her husband's a well-respected member of the community, and people listen to his words and they respect him. Okay. So her work in finishing all her clothing and stuff. So look at, so before she was laying her hands to the spindle and makes the distaff, right? And then she makes the what do they call it? The yarn and stuff like that. And then now it's talking about how all her household are clothed with scarlet. That means scarlet is like expensive stuff. You know, back then, certain colors for clothing was expensive. Scarlet is like red, that's expensive. Blue, okay, and also purple. Those three colors are very expensive. Purple is the most, but all of them were very, very pricey. So if it means that if her whole household is clothed with scarlet, that means that they're well taken care of. All her slaves are well appointed. They're dressed well. They look good. You know. Oh wait. Oh, by the way, yeah. By the way, there's also this thing that her household is clothed with scarlet, but she has. I mean, this is another wordplay thing, right? The wordplay, they use this word lavash. Here it's clothing, lavush. But she clothes her household with scarlet, but her clothes are strength and honor. That's another like little wordplay thing that they're doing there, okay? And we saw something similar up here. She girded her loins with strength, and strengthened her arms. So she girded her loins. It's like she clothed her loins. It's another type of reference to that same idea. Strength and honor are her clothing. She girded her loins with strength. It's the same idea, you know? But it also says that she's clothed with linen and purple, right? Oh yeah, she maketh herself clothing coverings of tapestry. Her clothing is silk and purple. So purple once again. So her servants all have scarlet, which is expensive stuff. She's wearing purple, which is very expensive stuff. It's not to say that she's like some kind of braggart who dresses in the high fashion and acts like a snob, right? She's not saying it's not that, but it's that she understands the value of these things and she buys quality things for her household and for herself. And that's what a person who's like a respected member of the community, that's what they should do, right? And that's why her husband is at the gate, right? Now, these things, when they say about the purple, look at this thing in Esther. Esther 8:15. And Mordecai went out from the presence of the king in royal apparel of blue and white, and with a great crown of gold, and with a garment of fine linen and purple. And the city of Shushan rejoiced and was glad. See? So this woman, she wears the silk and purple, but she also has the things to sell as well. She maketh fine linen and selleth it, and delivereth girdles unto the merchant. Fine linen is expensive stuff too. So the purple and the linen and stuff. So this woman is making quality stuff, as we saw before as well, right? Remember she said this. Where's this thing? She perceiveth that her merchandise is good. So she's making nice like linen and purple and all this stuff. She's making nice stuff. She knows she knows she makes good stuff. She doesn't make cheap stuff. And so she charges good money for it, and then that way she can keep her household well, you know? Not so she can be greedy and have money, but so that she can take good care of her household and her family. That's where her concern is, right? And the husband is at the gates, right? Now, it doesn't really explain why her husband is not in the gates, but we can assume that it's because his wife, or at least partly it's because his wife is a good woman. And also, we could think that, you know, a woman like this, right, a wise woman like this, she'll marry a good man and a wise man as well. And so that's why, as she's very respectable and a good member of the community, so is he. So that's what we see, right? So this is what I'm saying to you. It's not just about women. It's about men and women. This thing is about how we should act in a wise way. And if she does things that are kind of womanly things or female type things, you can take the principle of what she's doing and apply it to your life. Yeah, maybe you don't spin yarn on with a spindle and a distaff, right? But maybe you could get up early and do some push-ups and read a newspaper or whatever, you know, and just build or read the Bible, you know, build up your mind, and that's how you can work hard like she does, right? But anyway, now that we get to this part now, she openeth her mouth with wisdom. Oh wait, let's look at this. Strict and honor her clothing, and she shall rejoice in time to come. She openeth her mouth with wisdom, and in her tongue is the law of kindness. So when she opens her mouth, there's wisdom coming out. This is kind of like what we saw here too. This is the type of attitude she has, which is just what Lemuel was instructed to, right? Lemuel was told to open his mouth for the dumb and for the poor. And that's what this woman does, right? And so that's why she also opens her mouth with wisdom. Open her mouth, you see? Open her mouth. And then Lemuel was told to open your mouth, open your mouth. So she opens her mouth. She doesn't keep quiet. She says what needs to be said in the time. And when we speak with wisdom, as we see in this book of Proverbs, when we speak with wisdom, we speak at the right time. You don't just speak everything that comes to mind. You take your time. You listen first and then you speak, right? And when you speak, you make sure that what you say is wise things that's helpful to the people, that gives them something to grow and learn. And that's what she does. But also in her tongue is the law of kindness. That means I mean, you could interpret that. There's different ways to interpret that, but if you think about it, it seems pretty clear that when she says things, is they're not cruel, mean, or wicked things. They are kind, they are nice, they are gentle things, right? They are things that they bring messages of love and peace, you know? Mouth with wisdom, love, kindness. This word kindness, by the way, this is the word hesed. This is the word that it's interesting that they say law of kindness, the Torah of hesed, because hesed is like the thing that it's a kind of like there's no translation for it in English. They'll use different words like kindness, or they'll use mercy, they'll use love, they'll use loyalty, they'll use steadfast love, but it's really associated with the covenant, and it's usually describing God's feeling about the covenant. So when people keep the covenant, they're showing their hesed, okay? And this is the word they're using here, the Torah of hesed. Torah is like the law, right? So in her tongue is the law, the Torah of hesed. So it's something that's from God. It's something that her tongue is speaking the wisdom of God, you might say. Oh, nice. Yeah, let's see some of that, Liliana. Liliana was saying this. Anyway, so now when we go on to this now, oh, by the way, she looketh well to the ways of her household and eateth not the bread of idleness. So once again, as we've already seen, of course, she's working night and day. She's working all the time for her household. But now it's making it very clear. She looketh well to the ways of her household and eateth not the bread of idleness. She's not idle. She's not sitting around. She's getting the job done. And it's for her household. You know, it's not for her. She's not trying to get money for her. She's trying to get money for her household, for her husband, for her children, for her ladies, her maidens, and other servants that she has, right? She's that type of person. She takes her responsibilities very seriously. And then now in these last verses here, we see this. Her children arise up and call her blessed. Her husband also, and he praiseth her. Many daughters have done virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. Give her of the fruit of her hands, and let her own works praise her in the gates. Amen. Notice this word praise, halal. This is like the same word. You know, we say hallelujah, hallelujah. It's because hallelujah is like the imperative form of the word halal. Okay, so halal just means praise. And then when we say hallelujah, it means it's like I'm commanding you to praise. And hallelujah, Yah is like God's, it's the short form of God's name. So hallelujah means praise the Lord. And it's saying it in a way like it's like telling you to do it. It's giving you the order. But here, this is using this word halal because it's telling about what she did, right? He did. The husband praises her and her children bless her, right? So the first two verses here are telling about the family's praise of the lady, of the virtuous woman. And then this is maybe the praise of someone else, or that she shall be praised, and let her own works praise her in the gates. So in this case, I would say we don't know who's actually doing this, but it's probably like the community and other people who maybe know her or her family. They'll see what a virtuous woman she is, and they'll praise her. right? With this one, I feel like what's happening here is she does some. She's constantly, obviously, this woman's working hard and she's doing all this wonderful stuff. So when she does those things, her works cause other people to praise her. That's what I would say is happening here. So, for example, she'll make all her servants wear nice scarlet clothes, and they're all like probably very well mannered or whatever. She makes that, like, that's how she's type of managing her home, right? So then now when her servants go out into the community, she sends them out to buy this, buy that, get this, do this work, do this, that. Other people in the community, they know, oh yeah, that lady, that's one of her servants. Those people are so nice. That family's so great. Love that lady, you know? That's what I think is happening with that. But this last 4 verses here, they're kind of echoing a lot of the things we saw in the first 4. I mean, remember this is an acrostic, right? So each of the sort of lines of the poem begins with a different letter of the Hebrew alphabet. So these first 4, who can find a virtuous woman for prices far above rubies? The heart of her husband does safely trust in her, so that he shall have no need of spoil. He will do him good and not evil all the days of her life. She seeketh wool and flax and worketh willingly with her hands. So that's the first 4, right? And then the last 4 we just saw. So if you notice that the word, like the word husband appears here, the word virtuous appears here. The word work, the word hands, okay, all these things appear at the last section that we just read. And then she will do him good and not evil all the days of her life, right? All the days of her life. Then if you come down to the bottom, it shows you that beauty is not this thing that is it's like beauty is fleeting, right? It's not something that lasts all the days of your life. It's fleeting, it's gone. It's when it says like this word vain, it means like in English we mean like it's like nothing or it's useless, right? But in Hebrew this word is havel, and that is what it means, vanity or nothing or usefulness. But it also can mean, like, if you see at the bottom, it means like breath. This is the same word actually that, you know, Abel, the brother of Cain. This is his name, Havel. That's why he's like, so he's gone in a breath, right? He's gone, he's in and out of the story like this, and you never see him again. That's why, that's probably kind of why they gave him that name. It's kind of like another wordplay. But here, her beauty is vain. It's like that, like a beauty is like a vapor that disappears. It doesn't last for very long. Whereas the woman, or this woman, her she does good to her husband all the days of her life. It lasts and lasts, you know, whether even the beauty may be gone, but she still will do good all the days of her life. And at the beginning of the poem, we saw that it's telling us about all the great things she does for her husband, right? And then at the end of the poem, we see that her husband and her children are blessing and praising her. You see? So it's kind of, there's this connection there between the beginning and the end of the poem for sure. And also probably the men at the gates. the man, her husband is known in the gates, so that means they probably know her as well, and they'll probably respect her and speak well of her as well. That's why she receives honor from these things. And then he says, many daughters for the virtuously, but thou excellest them all. So you might say this is what the husband is saying about her. Her husband also, and he praises her. Then we see this. Many daughters of them virtuously, but thou excellest them all. Maybe that's what the husband is saying about her, which is obviously very nice, but it's also something similar to what Boaz said to Ruth. Ruth 3:11. And now, my daughter, fear not. I will do to thee all that thou requirest. For all the city of my people doth know that thou art a virtuous woman. See the virtuous woman? It's a Hayil Isha. Hayil Isha, right? Which is the same thing we saw here. Virtuously, Hayil. And then also up here, who can find a virtuous woman? Hayil Isha. Okay? So there's that aspect. Actually, in the Hebrew canon, in the Hebrew Bible, the book of Ruth follows this book. They have a different order of the books, right? So after Proverbs is Ruth in the Hebrew Bible. So it's interesting. But both of those women are this example. This woman and Ruth are both this example of this woman of courage and strength and resourcefulness and loyalty and all this stuff. So it's like this woman is just such an amazing example for all of us, right? And so is Ruth, So Ruth is an amazing hero of the faith, and she became an ancestor of Jesus. She was blessed, So we did learn throughout this book that charm and beauty disappear. So when we see it here, it's no surprise, right? Lust not after her beauty in thy heart, and neither let her take thee with her eyelids. The strange woman. That's Proverbs 6:25. And then if you go to Proverbs 11:16, a gracious woman retaineth honor, a strong man retain riches. So the gracious woman, like the virtuous woman, they retain the honor. If the virtuous woman is synonymous with the church, then the body of Christ should be like this towards each other. House of Christ. Yeah, I definitely do think the body of Christ should treat each other as this woman treats people. I don't know if I would say that the virtuous woman is synonymous with the church, though. Charm and beauty disappearing. It's something that lasts, especially not necessarily charm, because charm is more like part of our personality, right? But when I say beauty, I'm talking about physical beauty, right? And it certainly doesn't last forever. But this woman, her praise will last forever because she's like, her virtues are much greater than physical beauty, or even money, or even rubies, right? As we saw. So she's much more valuable than those things, those physical things, those worldly things, right? And then we saw this one. As a jewel of gold in a swine's snout, so is a fair woman, which is without discretion. And this discretion, ta'am, is the same thing that the woman, that Our Lady displays. She perceiveth ta'am. So this woman has no discretion. Our woman, she has discretion. And she perceiveth. Okay? So it's more important than beauty, charm, or even work is fearing God. And by the way, the fear of the Lord, that idea, right? We saw the fear of the Lord at the beginning of the book, obviously. Proverbs 1, verse 7, I believe. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. The fools despise wisdom and instruction. And then this woman, everything she does is shaped by the fear of God, you know? Favor is deceitful and beauty is vain, but a woman that feareth the Lord, she shall be praised. It seems like when it says that, it's describing her that way, right? So it's saying that all of these qualities that she has, all the wisdom that she's displayed here, ultimately comes from the fact that she fears the Lord, you know? So that's very important to remember when we read this poem as well. Some people have even suggested that this woman is a personification of the fear of the Lord, you know? And in the Hebrew, there's some clues that may suggest that, but I don't think that's what's going on here. But it is important to note that, you know, whenever we see Lady Wisdom in this book, you know, Lady Wisdom, right? She always talks about the fear of the Lord. She always mentions it. For that they hated knowledge and did not choose the fear of the Lord. This is Lady Wisdom talking. And I'll give you another example here. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the holy is understanding. So this is another word from Lady Wisdom. Does fearing of the Lord mean to be scared of God? No, it means more like to revere God, you know, revere him and think of him as someone who you highly respect, you don't want to disrespect ever, and that type of thing, you know. Not that you're scared of him, but that you're aware that he's the one in control and he's the one that can decide, you know, if you need to be chastened or anything like that. Chastened is not punishment in the way we normally think of it. It's more like correcting a child that he loves, right? But still, it's just like with your parents. Even though, you know, when your parents spank you, it's because they love you and they want you to grow up to be a good kid, right? But you don't want that to happen, right? So you're going to try to act in a way that they won't spank you, right? Because even though you know spanking is from out of love and they don't hate you and all that stuff, you don't want to get spanked. In the same way, God, if he decides that you did something wrong, he's not going to do anything to hurt you, but he might spank you. And so to avoid that, you should fear the Lord. You fear the spanking, right? But not because you're scared, not because you're ever scared that God would ever hurt you, because you never will. But he will chasten you. And so to avoid that, we respect him and we revere him. So anyway, the point is, though, that fearing the Lord, which we already saw, as I was saying to you in the very beginning of the book, it's basically the ultimate purpose of this book is fear of the Lord, right? And we see this again at the very end in this lady, in her character. And it's kind of like the central feature of this woman's character, you know, is fear of the Lord. So that's important to note as well, okay? So all we can do is join these other people and praise her. You know? Because that's what she deserves. This type of woman, you know? She deserves this praise and we should give it to her. And she's the type of woman that we should emulate, you know? Like I say to you, whether you're a man or a woman, there's much to be learned from this lady, okay? So it's not just for ladies. We get tested for every sin we commit, or does it depend on the sin? That's a good question. You know, I think it might just be every single one. And so it depends on the severity of your sin, right? Like if you just sin like you said a white lie or something like that, and it's not a big deal, okay, maybe that's a little bit of a chastening. And then if you do a really bad sin, then that's going to be a really bad chastening. But once again, none of it is meant to hurt you. It's all meant to correct you and make you a better person, right? And it's out of love, right? But it is a thing. I've seen a lot of women like that in the church, definitely. Church has lots of women like that. We could all learn to be more like her, you know, but I think a lot of you ladies are probably like this already a little bit. And all of us have some of these qualities. And so what we should focus on is trying to build up those qualities of hers that we already have. And where we kind of lack her qualities, we should try to build those up as well. And slowly we'll come up to be a fine example of a Christian that she is, you know? But anyway, you guys, I'm going to wrap it up because we are going to have a live soon in like 20 minutes. So I want to get ready for that. But that's the Book of Proverbs, guys. I can't believe we made it. We made it through the whole Book of Proverbs. I didn't think I was going to even make it through this chapter today, but we did it. We did it. Thanks, guys. Love you. And yeah. So all right, I'm going to say a prayer and then we'll wrap it up. Heavenly Father, Almighty God, Father, what an amazing God you are. So mighty, so blessed, so full of love and glory, and thank you so much for all you've blessed us with, Father. And thank you for this Book of Proverbs. What an honor it's been to read it through with these people and help them to learn about it. And I just ask that you bless them with wisdom to understand these words that we studied and to apply them to their lives. And just help us all to be like this woman, the virtuous woman of Proverbs, you know, as much as we can, and to follow her example of being hardworking and wise and gentle and loving. And help all of us to be more like her, and help us to shine that kind of attitude, that kind of light into the world around us, the world of sin and death, Father. The world that needs your gospel more than anything. And I ask all this in the name of your holy Son, Jesus Christ, Father. And him be glory forever and ever. Amen. All right, guys. Wow, we made it to the Book of Proverbs. I'm very happy. Thanks, River Eagle. River Eagle, God bless you. Thanks very much. So we'll see each other. I mean, I'll be back in about 20 minutes or so. I don't know if you guys can make it. If you can, I love it. I love to see you. We're gonna go over some verses that give people trouble in the Bible, and we'll discuss those. Okay. So God bless you. Thanks, Crafty Vlog. Look forward to it. Thanks, Savo. God bless you too. And God bless everyone else. And thanks for watching Toronto Bible Study. Hallelujah.
Okay. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Studying the Bible with Mike, Sam, Pat. These other YouTubers are just so trash. Hit the thumbs up if you want to support. Go follow Mike as he follows the Lord. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 You better watch out, Mike's calling out the shills. If you're not free grace, you need to sit down and chill. We're not hyper grace, you know we keep it real. Eternally secure, you know that we're sealed. We don't back low, we're not workspace heretics. Mike's not in it for the money, trying to get a lick. They out here selling their souls for a couple clicks. Becoming Freemasons so they can't just get rich. I'm studying the Bible in Toronto. 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 Shout out to Mike Sampat. Check out his channel, Toronto Bible Study. Subscribe and like.